climate change, brother. How's it going?
Pretty good. How you doing, man?
It's always good to see a fellow climate change advocate like yourself,
Yeah, we haven't done this in quite a while because you were busy with some stuff, I think, out of the east or whatever.
Yeah. What kind of bugs me is when people go, oh, see, that doesn't mean there's any global warming. It's cooler now. It doesn't, you can't just take one little slice of things. And just like if people say, it's so hot now, global warming is real.
Well, that's what they say about climate change. It's more of a matter of extreme. So, like, you'll have more colder certain times than it normally is, and you'll have more hotter, warmer weather. So you're taking both extremes, and you're saying that's why you have a lot of climate change is what's going on.
Point number 1. Spraying chemicals into the atmosphere is being done for weather control, especially with cloud seeding done in the United States.
But in reality, we wanted to talk about another subject, that was near and dear to our hearts. A few weeks ago, I don't know when this is going to air, but a few weeks ago we talked a lot about spraying stuff in the stratosphere, like cloud seeding and chemtrails.
Yeah.
Remember that? Well, it was so funny because they don't advertise it at all, but it's actually legal, in a lot of states, and they're doing it, cloud seeding and everything. And so, but people don't know about it. I was talking to my neighbor, and he goes, "Well, we're doing that? I didn't know. I didn't know really that was real, but." You go and look it up, and they, there's you can find out which states are doing it, and the U.S. does a lot of it for many reasons, but not just cloud seeding, but like we talked about in the last video. So you have to see our last video about.
Point number 2. There are 3 reasons for making chemtrails, with the principal one being solar geoengineering or solar radiation management.
It's not just cloud seeding for rain and snowpack. It's more than that, because we alluded to this in our last video. We talked about 3 reasons why they may spray in the atmosphere. One, was cloud seeding. One was for helping to scrub the carbon dioxide a little bit and to help sort of block some of the sun rays. But this is the third one that we kind of talked about. You just said it was the solar geoengineering, right?
The other name for it is called solar radiation management. So.
Point number 3. Solar geoengineering is meant to cool the Earth by blocking some sun rays. They are looking into using 2 chemicals for this.
Okay, and what are they trying to accomplish then? What is the goal here? The blocking the sun's rays? Is that what they're trying to do?
Yeah. It's what it does is it will reflect the rays back out in outer space, and so that should lower the temperature a bit.
Okay, so let's talk about what they're doing. So what are they putting in the atmosphere? What exactly are they trying to spray? What are these chemicals that they're putting up?
So there's 2 varieties right now. One would be calcium carbonate, which you use to make cement. Well, that would be one. And the other one is sulfur dioxide, which strangely comes out of emissions from coal plants.
Point number 4. The chemicals only last for 1 to 2 years in the atmosphere. So it is required to spray every year to keep enough in the atmosphere.
Let me ask you another question. So these chemicals are putting up in the stratosphere. They're not going to stay up there forever, right? They're going to disperse. They're going to come down.
That's why they have to do it every year, because they only last for 1 or 2 years in the atmosphere, if even that much.
Where do they go?
Well, they come down through precipitation.
Okay, is that good for us or not?
No, I don't think so, because sulfur dioxide especially causes acid rain.
Right.
Point number 5. These chemical injections for solar geoengineering would be on a much larger scale than what has been done previously with chemtrails.
Yeah, and it'll be on a much larger magnitude.
Right.
So, like what they're doing right now, they've done some spraying chemtrails, but.
So, what do you mean by larger magnitude? Are they going to spray higher up in the atmosphere, or is it in the same? It's the stratosphere.
Stay in stratosphere, but they're going to use a lot of chemicals. They have to use 5 times the amount of the Mount Pinatubo explosion that happened.
Wow.
So imagine putting that much stuff in the atmosphere every year.
Wow.
That's the scale they want to do this.
Point number 6. Solar geoengineering has involved some physical experiments with weather balloons, but this may not be enough to realistically estimate its effects on the weather or climate.
Do you know of any testing that's been going on with this? I know we talked about some of the UN stuff in our last video over the United States, but is that part of this, or is that something different?
No, they've been doing some testing, but it's just on a small scale. Like when they use these weather balloons to do that, and they send up like sulfur dioxide, and they've only been able to do like maybe hold the payload can only hold like a couple hundred grams, but they get data from it. So there's a lot of small players getting into this too, their own. So I think they think if there's enough of these small outfits, these companies doing these experiments, that they'll get enough data to kind of show that it might work. But I don't think that would be enough to really tell you that it's going to work or not. I mean, just doing a few experiments, how's that going to like
I don't
justify doing this on like a massive scale, you know?
Point number 7. They base these amounts on computer modeling, which does show a cooling effect at these higher chemical injection levels.
They're basing a lot of this on computer modeling too. But according to their computer models, they're pretty sure that if they put so much of these chemicals into the atmosphere, then it will drop the temperature that it's a cooling effect.
Point number 8. The problem with spraying chemicals on such a massive scale is that we cannot really predict what the regional weather effects will be. In addition, it only covers up or masks what the real climate change problem is.
There's a couple problems with it. The thing is, we don't know what weather effect it's going to have. Yeah. How can they predict that? They can't predict like what it will do in certain regions. Kind of like what we said with the cloud seeding. So that's hard to really pin down. I mean, they may be able to know that there's going to be a cooling effect, but they can't predict what other effects are going to happen from that. You know, especially when you stop. They know if you stop it altogether, it'll be worse. But like, how much worse would it be? Or
that's
we
hard.
We don't know all these implications from. This is masking what the climate change problem is. Like, it's putting a Band-Aid on if you have a wound, but it's not going to solve a problem. Like your body still has to heal. So you're not really healing the earth.
Point number 9. The earth can go through termination shock, making the weather worse as if we had never done this spraying once we started doing it.
People see that as kind of a problem because we may be dependent on it. Like if they want to do this, say for some reason that there's some kind of global emergency or something happens and they stop spraying these chemicals, then they say the temperature will go up really high as if you had never done it. So it's going to
drastic change.
It'll be a really high drastic change, and they call that termination shock. There's articles in the literature that talk about termination shock if you just stop spraying 1 year or whatever. But you have to do it.
It was like, oh, it's nice and cool. Yeah. You know, all of a sudden, oh, it's 20 degrees hotter or whatever. You know, something like that, like a shock to your system, right?
Yeah.
People wouldn't be used to it. And
point number 10. Suddenly increasing the atmospheric temperature of the Earth from the termination of solar geoengineering will cause a lot of problems with heat waves and power losses.
Because, I remember when I was, when there would be a heat wave, say back east. Back east has got a lot more humidity, and so eastern United States. And when a heat wave would come and get up to like 95, 98 degrees or something like that, close to 100, with all this, with like 95% humidity or something, and that's really hard. And if the power all of a sudden would go out, people would die, okay, because they were not used to the heat, okay, and that humidity all at once because they didn't, have an AC. So especially the elderly, they're sitting in air conditioning, they don't go out much, they're trying to enjoy their golden years, right? All of a sudden AC goes out, the place is just, within a matter of hours that you're stifling hot, and now, people, 100 years ago didn't worry about that, right? They could deal with it, but we gotten used to AC and everywhere, and take climate control and stuff, and so it's a shock to the system.
Point number 11. Relying on solar geoengineering also will cause us to be complacent towards solving the root issue of climate change, which is reducing carbon emissions.
Well, and you talked about the Band-Aid fix. That's a good analogy because, so what's the real problem? The real problem is too much carbon, right? Too much, and if we're not taking care of that problem, then people go, oh, well, I can drive my car, I can do this, I can pollute all I want because they're spraying in the atmosphere, no big deal, right? And so we start to get a little laissez-faire with complacency, right? And that's gonna, so we're not going to keep reducing. People are gonna go, hey, no problem, they solved the problem. They're spraying, hey, we can, we're good. And so we're gonna put more of a problem in our atmosphere rather than scrubbing out the carbon dioxide. We're going to be putting more in there, and so then that's not good. If all of a sudden they stop doing this, then all of a sudden, hey, then not only is there a shock, but it's worse than it was before.
Point number 12. This approach to climate change without a long-term plan for this is not really good for our Earth's environment.
I never liked short-term solutions unless there's a long-term plan involved in it. I don't think they have a long-term plan with this one. Other than just to keep testing and keep trying it and see if it goes well or not, which is kind of a dangerous game to play, in a sense, if you don't know what's going to happen. Well, okay, so that was good. We'll end it there, I guess, and we'll bid our our viewers.
Yeah, if you have any other ideas about climate change videos you want us to do, let us know, because that compressed earth blocks, I think, was a very good idea.
Yeah, there's been a few people that have,
Yeah.
and like you said, somebody even brought this up to us, article about I think it was, you're saying our mom did this, right?
Yeah, she was the one that got us on this. Yeah, she
So,
wanted us to talk about this.
Very good. All right, well, until next time, we'll keep apprising the viewers of climate change issues. And what we try to do is we try to, figure out what what good and bad about all of these solutions, and kind of see what people think. And we're just throwing out what we find as research and facts. And so you can make up your own mind about if this is good or bad. So anyway, until next time.
All right.
We'll see you later.